Well, hello again to all you very fine and wonderful people. It is I, Sam, and I welcome you once again to the latest edition of my weekly series of Weird Mind Newsroom, where for this week we will be delving into another array of new releases, trailers, and news stories found across the information superhighway that you may or may not have missed. Let's not dwell on the usual introductions to get talking all things media that we do have for this week.
Where's Armani? He's on the phone.
Our first of the new releases is a sequel that is all the range, the perfect fit and style, and what you may see as a fashionably late is really more of all the right timing for perfection. As it will be time once again to strike a pose as we have the release of the long-awaited sequel to The Devil Wears Prada. Now based on the 2014 sequel novel, well, loosely based, the film will see Andy, played by Anne Hathaway, returning to runway as Miranda, played by Meryl Streep, navigates a new media landscape and runway's position within it. They reconnect with another former assistant, Emily, played by Emily Blunt, who is now the head of a luxury brand that possesses commercial money that could mean Runway's survival. Now, reception on this new legacy sequel, similar to the original, seems to be well received, with praise to the returning cast members, the fashion, narrative, and for a solid legacy sequel to the original, and adapting of the novels it is based from. And if you want to rock the runway and see the newest collection on offer, you can check this film out now in cinemas. If the likes of fashion and drama is not your appeal and you're looking for something with a bit more of a horror approach and something that has a bit more of the focus of Irish lineage and lore, thankfully you're in luck, as returning to some place that has some symbolism for your family lineage may help inspire, but some horrors may lurk in places that you least expect it. As we have the release of the all-new horror film that's known simply as Hokum. Now the film will follow Owen Bauman, played by Adam Scott, a novelist who retreats to a remote inn in rural Ireland to scatter his parents' ashes and to help them find inspiration to the conclusion of his novel. Soon he becomes consumed by tales of a witch that seems to haunt the honeymoon suite, and from delving into finding out more, he begins to experience disturbing visions and some shocking disappearances that force him to confront dark corners of his past. Now, reception to this new horror has seen a lot of strong praise and appeal, with the praise on the performances, its setting, tone, lineage, and for giving a new take and focus to the usual array of horrors than your usual demons and creatures. If you want to spend a time away as some cozy Indian, you can catch this film also out now in cinemas. But more on a lighter note, for the last of the films for this week will bring us to a world of animation for this time around, as we'll be seeing an idea that from a sudden mishap of cosmic proportions, you will see a pair of unlikely adversaries come together on an extraordinary journey, as we have the release of the new animated affair from Skydance Studios with Swapped. In the film, we'll follow a small woodland creature of a Poku named Ollie, played by Michael B. Jordan, and a majestic plant bird named Ivy, played by Juno Temple, who will be seen as sworn enemies of the valley, but will find themselves trading places with one another by a magical pod of the valley, and soon they will learn to understand one another, learn to bond, and head on a magnificent journey to find another of these magical pods and change them back. The reception of the new film seems a little mixed, too modest, with praise in the voice work, the animation having a nice appeal and colours, and for some good message throughout, but the film lacks some elements that would work well from another animation studio, but this could be seen as a simple fun narrative overall. If you want to go on this new adventure, then you can check this film also out now on Netflix. On the side of the games for this week, it's time to gear up, prepare for battle, and prepare to battle, die, revive, and repeat to get back home and defeat a powerful entity keeping them there. As we return to the studio of House Marquee, the developers behind Returnal, with a release of their all-new title of Saros. Now in this title, you will take control of Arjun Devraj, played by Rahul Kohli, a solitary enforcer who was assigned to investigate the planet of Kakarsa, where the reports from the previous colonies dispatched to that planet to set up a mining facility suddenly go quiet, and he must investigate what has happened to them and take down whatever is responsible. The reception on this new title has seen some very well received reception with praise to the gameplay and mechanics, the visuals and difficulty, though some feel elements of the story can feel a little lacking in wrapping up questions and loose ends, and the gameplay can get a little tedious near the end of the title, but it seems like another solid entry from this studio. And if you're up for the challenge, you can play this title out now on PlayStation 5. And for one last game of this week and the last new releases, while the most recent season of the show has just gone and wrapped up about a week or so ago, and you may be itching to see more of this, then thankfully something has come along to appease your appetite and for those all-out battles to prove who's the most strongest of them all, as we have the release of a new fighting title known as Invincible Versus. In this new title based on the comics and Amazon series, you will do battle against characters across a vast narrative where you start to notice some allies and adversaries are starting to act a little off character. You must pull them out of their strange and controlling trance through the method of intense fights and battles. The reception of this new fighting title seems to be a bit mixed to decently received, that while the praise in the visual style, voice performances, and the narrative has some appeal and praise, some feel the roster and locations may be a little lacking, some gameplay mechanics could be a little bit of getting used to, and a sense of some performance issues occurring, mainly what I've seen from reviews for the PC ports, but it still seems like a solid entry overall. And if you want to throw a few fists, then you can play this new title now on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, and in case I say a Switch 2 port in the future. With that regards, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week.
I am Wildcat, welcome to Jackass, this is Darts!
Now the first of the trailers, this first one technically came out last week, but given the time I had recorded the episode, it only just came out, so I decided to put with this one. But in this focus, in the seedy underbelly of all things uncertain, where crime and corruption take hold, that in a sense of the ever-expanding multiverse, there is always a wall crawler in every part. It seems he'll be back to take crime into his own hands once more, as we have the release of the second and probably final trailer of the Spider-Verse adjacent project in the form of Spider-Noir. Then the series will follow Ben Reilly, played again by Nicolas Cage, an aging down on his luck private investigator who grapples with his past life as the only superhero in 1930s New York, known as the Spider. Soon, when an exceptional case comes his way, he will soon have to don the mask once more and become the Spider once again to help to save the city from some powerful new threats. So if there was a distinct version of this superhero that I have become much more of a fan since those Spider-Verse films, it would definitely be him and the punk version. I just love that even in the likes of the portrayal being continued by Cage, it just feels well overall for the choice. I like the grimy 30s mob era setting that's going for that, giving such distinct personality and vibe to it. But I'm very much excited to see this focus on the noir character, and if Lord and Miller can help with the showrunners of this series, then I'm all for this. And thankfully, it's not too long for release either, as the series will be releasing in full on Amazon Prime from the 27th of May. Our second trailer for this week will bring us the focus in many ways that there is something fun about the ideas of getting together with some like-minded people and find ways to have yourself injured or watch as others take on some outlandish pranks and stunts, all in the name of entertainment. And it looks like it'll be all coming to an end for one final hoorah, as Johnny Knoxville and co are back for one more final go-around, as we have the release of the trailer for the fifth and final film of Jackass, with Best and Last. Now the film will be a mix of some of the best of the series had to show, from some callbacks to classic entries of the franchise and films, as well as some new additions and stunts, from Steve-O getting a prostate exam from a robot called Larry, someone having a shock collar on his penis, and some of them dealing with an escape room from hell, all in the purpose of entertainment. Now I'll say over the years I have delved into and checked out some of these films and the TV series, and I have to say there's something that's so entertaining for watching this franchise with this group of idiots, but endearing idiots, risk their lives for their bodies to do these elaborate, stupid, and often dangerous stunts, all for the purpose of laughs and entertainment. And I have to say, I love them when it is, and some of them are so stupid and some turn to pure genius and classics overall. However, it is to be the conclusion the films makes the perfect sense for the age and to go out with a bang. Now I'm looking forward to checking this out, and it's not too far from release either, as we unleashed into cinemas from the 26th of June. Our third trailer for this week is bringing us the focus of the realm of high fantasy, where we will be delving into a period of high conflict, excessive bloodshed, and a rain of fire engulfing the land, all in the purpose of the clan deciding upon who shall lead and take their place as the ruler of the lands. As we have returned with a second trailer for the upcoming third season of the spin-off from the world of Ice and Fire with House of the Dragon. The new season will follow on from the end of the second season. We'll see the growing conflict between Rhaena Targaryen and Aegon II Targaryen, as the war and conflict enters a new phase of the growing internal war, with the effects of dragons, armies, and political decisions will soon shape the future of Westeros. So it's definitely been quite a ride for this franchise, as we have seen the likes of the original being massive before crashing and burning in the last season or two, and the case with this as well, with being appealed back to it at first before continuing a bit into the second, before it all started to show a fair amount of cracks in the structure, mainly that came from the conflict between George R. R. Martin and showrunner from the second season, and the series appeal being revitalized with the stories of Sir Duncan and Egg earlier this year, that it has put this in a bit of a messy outcome, that I could see them have the series back in tip-top order, or the case we may be completely separate to the earlier series this year and back in the realm of uncertainty. But I do hope we will see this getting a sense of focus again, as there's a lot of potential to build on the lineage and history of this houses and the leading to the tale of the dances with dragons, as well as the big battle that's going to open this season. But I guess we'll find out, and thankfully they've confirmed an official release date for this new season, which will now be set to take flight onto HBO Max from the 21st or 22nd of June. Our next trailer for this week is one that I really start to think that this offers work as having as many film adaptations a year that will rival the likes of Stephen King's, but it seems we have another book to film adaptation with this having a focus that what could have been seen as a simple job to help in the completion of an acclaimed offer story, it soon became clear that there is a lot of uncertainty about to make its presence known to get it completed, as we have the first trailer for the upcoming new film adaptation from another Colleen Hoover novel with the film of Verity. Now the film will follow Lowen Ashley, played by Dakota Johnson, who is hired to become a ghostwriter for renowned author Verity Crawford, played by Anne Hathaway. But soon things take a bit of a dark turn when she discovers chilling autobiographical notes. Faced with a series of deadly family secrets, Lowen begins to struggle to separate fiction from reality, while also blurring the lines with Verity's husband, played by Josh Hartnett. So it's been a case that there's a lot of Hoover novels and adaptations that focus on this side of the romance with some sense of drama, with one of them leading to some overblown legal case that will be taking place this month apparently. but it seems this one is going for more of the realm of the thriller type that has a lot more of a horror or tension tone to it all. That could be the case. This could appeal more to the main franchise than compared to some of the other adaptations of the novels made so far, and the brief teaser seems to sell it well without really giving too much away on narrative. And I may check this out in due time, as the film will be written for cinemas when it releases on the 2nd of October. Now, this final trailer for this week is one the trailer in focus has got a lot of debate and discussion about all since it dropped a couple days ago, but I will get to that in a few, as we are time for another video game adaptation getting a new take, and while the series seems to have had a fair amount of attempts across the decades, it seems like the material will always come back from the dead with a new attempt on the series, as Zack Krieger has finally come along and bring an attempt to his own take on this beloved gaming franchise, as we have the first trailer for his adaptation on Resident Evil. The film will follow Brian, played by Austin Abrams, a medical courier who will find himself in a desperate fight for survival against bloodthirsty mutated creatures and looking to get himself out of this familiar city from the effects of a secret government-based virus. Now, as I've alluded to at the beginning of this trailer discussion, there's been a lot of debate and people saying to some that this looks dreadful, or the big one being that it really looks nothing close to Resident Evil at all. But I'll be one to say that personally, this actually looks solid. Immediately, I got the vibes at the title that people forget that looks a lot like Resident Evil, but ended up being one of the entries that brought the appeal back to the series. That was with 7 Biohazard, and the director has emphasized about it set during the events of the second game. Most HC was basically why is there snow around the time setting. We'll have elements of focus, a camera work that makes it look like the games, mechanics and game elements that are similar, inspired by RE4, and just telling something unique, because it emphasized he doesn't want to adapt one of the games from the series because they're told better in the games. Personally, that just appeals more. I mean, they tried a couple years ago with Regular Raccoon City, and no one liked that much. Plus, the likes of not overly just being zombies will just have it tedious, and like every other horror with zombies, when we know that the virus from Umbrella do a lot more than make zombies. And in case instance, people seem to forget about the Mila Djokovic ones that came out in the early 2000s that have now become a cult following. And I just like the case of the new original Focus character, with Fury saying this is actually the merchant from Resident Evil 4, and I will not jump to conclusions straight away, and I'll say to give some chance to see more of this, and honestly, I'm looking forward to this. I feel like it could be something interesting, and Krieger hasn't failed me before. I liked Barbarian, I thought Weapons was really creepy and unsettling, so I will give this a chance. And hopefully we'll see more footage of this when it's unearthed, and we check this film out when it releases in the cinemas from the 18th of September. But with all that regards now, that's all the trailers that we do have for this week.
You will?
And on our news, we're back again to the focus of the usual smorgasbord of its hodgepodge of stories and likes of release dates, announcements, concepts, and more coming to us over the next little while from film, TV, and game. So let's see what this week has provided us in that regards. And we're going to start with a good half of this stories being made up of mainly release dates. And with the first one, it was the focus of some mystery, and in this regards will be the solving of the biggest mystery of all, marriage. As was announced earlier this week that the planned third film of the Enola Holmes series that stars Millie Bobby Brown as the younger sibling to Sherlock Holmes now has an official release date, with it set to drop on July 1st on Netflix. Now, it's a case that I remember watching the first film at least, and I will say the likes of MBB performance that, besides maybe the early season or two of Stranger Things, that she at least tried with this one, or else had a decent script. And while I have yet to watch the sequel yet, I've heard it's still decently good, but more or less the same plot in some form. But maybe the likes of a wedding and mystery at Malta will be quite something to solve, and hopefully things will go off without a hitch, but I guess we'll see by the release of the first bit of footage in a trailer before it's released in about 2 months' time. But then from one streamer to another, we're taking flight at the power of another ring, as we have announced this week that we have an official release date for the new project, and this is with the newest series based on Lanterns that is now confirmed to be releasing on the 16th of August. Now, I'm intrigued by the prospect of this, and I do know that the first official trailer for this series did not leave a lot of people that appealing, with many complaining about the lack of green of these Lantern Corps. But least we forget, the series is called Lanterns, and there is more color corps than just the green, with it alluded to the likes that Sinestro, who's part of the Yellow Corps, being present in the series. So I'll give it my chance with this and say this series sense of a true detective style look and feel to it, even the likes of the main duo being superheroes. But I'll be hoping that it could work out well and just have some rough marketing, as many projects get let down by the bad marketing but have great appeal. I'm looking at you, Transformers one, but I'm sure we'll get a better look at this before releases in August. But speaking of space-faring heroes, we'll be giving a focus to the title taking us to a galaxy far, far away, and timing well close to the release of May the 4th be with you, as it'll be time to rev up the engines, prepare to get dirty, and prove who is the best across the galaxy. As announced this week that the upcoming title of Star Wars Galactic Racer has gotten an official release date, with the race is set to begin from the 6th of October. What I've seen from the footage of this game's reveal from last year and the whole look and tone to it, it really is giving the fans of the original arcade racer and console ports from episode 1 a return to the classic with a new narrative, updated gameplay, and more. I personally hope this will be a really solid title, and I'll be immediately interested to pick this up or get around the holiday season when it drops in October of this year. Now for one title that has not been given an official release date, but rather the only focus of a delay to the whole library this week, it looks like the realm of fantasy and a world found within a large ancient wardrobe could be taking a little longer to come to fruition. As was announced on Friday, the planned new adaptation of the first entry of the Chronicles of Narnia series from Greta Gerwig has been delayed from its initial Thanksgiving cinema release this year, and now be coming out and moving out of this year and be releasing now on February 12th, 2027, getting about a 2.5 month delay. An initial planned release on Netflix for Christmas Day has also been moved now to April 2nd, giving the film a bit of time to be screened into the cinemas. Now, the likely case I see from this push was that Lionsgate and the fans of the Hunger Games franchise were probably mad of having to go up against each other of these adaptations released in the same week, and Sunrise losing IMAX screens to this adaptation. But it seems they decided to push it a little later to avoid competition and to have a bit of a chance at the box office, with its competition now for that weekend being between them, The Nightingale, K-pop Superstar the movie, and the second weekend for the 6th Ice Age movie, so I feel it'll have a bit more of a chance from its delay. I'm interested to know what the proper full cast is from this film, from all the reported casting I talked about a while ago, and to see the first bit of footage of this as well. But I'm sure we'll get something within the next few weeks or so, but I'm sure we'll see something before the release coming this next February. Now, the last of the dates in focus is a bit more of an obscure one, as while they've been given a date, the project itself is currently unknown as to what will come from this project. But early this week it was announced that the new film from Illumination and from its collaboration with Nintendo has now set another new release date, with it now aiming for April 12th, 2028, which is reported from the Spain location of the studios. Now, there is a speculation as to what this film could be, with some saying it is a third Mario film after Galaxy's continued box office success, while some have also made the case that it could be a film focused on Star Fox or Pikmin or even the likes of a Luigi's Mansion movie spin-off. However, I feel this may connect back to an earlier story I talked on a little while ago that may confirm what the film may be, and I think it's a film based on Donkey Kong. Now, the reason I think this was because a couple months ago I discussed the story that Illumination, Nintendo, and Universal had filed a patent for a Donkey Kong based project with their studios, which gives me an indication that a DK Country film is well in the works, which may see the return of Seth Rogen as the Great Ape and likely a proper focus on Diddy, Dixie, Cranky, and some other additions, and I feel even their film introduction of the one King K rule, but I'm sure we'll get an idea of what it is in due time. With Nintendo's focus on games to Switch 2 and their post-production now on the first live-action Zelda movie from Sony, I'm sure we'll get an idea of what this could be in due time, and we'll see by the release of this film, and if I hear anything else, I'll let you know in a bit. But speaking of massive IPs from the gaming company, there seemed to have been another project and character in mind to get them on the big screen, and it looks like the theme of space will be sticking around for this, as there's reports as of now that Nintendo is also currently developing a film based on the series of Metroid. Now, there is very little on the report of what there is to expect from this project, but most we know is there are currently two studios trying to bid for this adaptation, with this being both Universal Studios and Sony Pictures themselves. But I will not be surprised if some other studio will be along in due time to throw their hat in the ring for it as well. But the other big question about this title is if this will be like a live action film like Zelda is, or an anime one like the Mario movie, because that one is already unclear. This also comes to a discussion as to who they would get to play the bounty hunter of Samus Aran. As if I recall, Brie Larson initially pitched a campaign to portray the character, but given that she is now the voice of Rosalie in the recent Galaxy film, and I'll get to that review as well, but maybe she could play both roles, but I guess we could find it soon enough. Either way, I'll be fine with whichever direction they go with this project, but I hope we get a solid production team behind it and give a proper adaptation to this, and maybe this could also be that rumored date we talked about on before the story, but I guess we'll find out in due time. If any news comes about this project, I'll provide that in a later episode. But speaking of IPs, we have the return of a character that honestly has been quiet for a very long time, and it seems to be coming back in some all-new form and concept, as he announced that an all-new series based on the popular comic character of Casper the Friendly Ghost is in development for Disney Plus, after winning it from a 5-way bidding war for the IP, and will be developed by Goosebumps series creators Rob Letterman and Hilary Winston, as well as big name with Steven Spielberg also as an executive producer, and a return to this franchise after his involvement with the live-action film from 1995, being co-produced by Universal and DreamWorks. Now, not much is heavily known on what this will entail, but it has been discussed that the title will be inspired and having a bit of a darker tone, inspired close to the recent Wednesday series for Netflix that had revitalized the approach to the Addams Family. So it seems like an interesting approach. Now, the last time I can recall anything with the character, I believe, was that animated series of Casper Scare School from the late 2000s. Does anyone remember this, or was that some fever dream I had or something? I don't know. And the other one mentioned or recall was the third Sonic film with Knuckles, but I would be interested to see who they will be getting with this character, and if other characters associated with this spirit will appear, like his mischievous uncles of Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky, his friendship with Winnie the Good Little Witch, or even if some other means of discussion, but I'm sure we get some ideas as the concept develops. At the moment, it is early days on this production, but if there's anything new with the series, I'll provide that as well in a later episode. Now for a project that also be coming from the concept of a comic and getting a new adaptation treatment is with a sense of a crossover that I had heard of, but I felt it seemed unlikely to get a full-fledged adaptation. But it seems it'll be coming for the battle of two badass characters, as it seems we're getting a film adaptation of the comic series of Django/Zorro, which is a series created by Quentin Tarantino back in 2014 and serves as a sequel to Django Unchained. Now, while this adaptation will not be directed or written by Tarantino, he has given their blessing. It will be similar to the upcoming new film of the continued adventures of Cliff Booth, and this project will be helmed by LA Confidential scribe Brian Heldglad to write the script for this title, and will be based on the comic series that will see the two cross paths, with Zorro becoming a bodyguard for Django as he goes on a mission to free the Aboriginal population from slavery. I'm sure it will have the flair and appeal of the comics and that Tarantino flair in the adaptation too. Now, the question I do have with this will come down to the casting for the film, as these characters were portrayed by Jamie Foxx and Antonio Banderas respectively, but I do wonder if either of them will return to the characters they portrayed. As it's been nearly 15 years since Django Unchained, and even over 20 years since the last time Zorro was on the big screen. So I do wonder if we'll see these versions of the characters again, or if they'll have to recast in the age of the two leads, but Banderas has stated he was approached about the idea, so we could still see it happen. As of now, there's no word on who will direct or when we can expect this project. If anything new arises, I'll provide it in a later episode. And for the final story this week, will be one that's just confirmation of some casting news and all this overall, and it seems to be staying with the studio of Disney for this last edition, but heading over to the world of concept that no one has really wanted to stick around with, and that is with the live action remakes of all forms of Disney films. As there's a new casting to the project that seems to be in the sense of fast tracking a production, as it looks like we have a new addition to the upcoming adaptation of Tangled, with the announcement that Andor himself of Diego Luna will be joining the cast. Now, the likes of this character is not any of the established characters in the original, as it was confirmed that he'll be portraying a new character specifically made for this remake. I see this being in the form of a second antagonist with Mother Gothel, or a possible member of the criminal group that Flynn is with the star of the film, or some group of the Snuggly Duckling, but it's hard to say what it is for the moment. Now, with the film currently seeing excessive groups coming out in droves to Spain to appear as some extras for the film, I'm sure we will see some form of production photos of the characters and see who they will be portraying in this title soon enough, but once we get an idea about who will be playing this, I'll provide this in a later episode. But what do you make of all these stories? Will you be checking the new Enola Holmes film, and what are your thoughts on the first two movies if you watched them? Do you see the Lantern series having a possible solid project based on besides some mixed marketing? Are you all set for a new Star Wars racer in October? Do you think the delay for Narnia will benefit them in the long run? What Nintendo project do you see releasing on that date? Would you be interested in a Metroid film? Should it be animated live action? Who should portray Samus? Do you see this Casper series being a decent refresh and appeal to the character? Will you be checking out this Django Zorro crossover film, and will Fox and Banderas be back as two leads? And who do you think Luna will portray in the Tangled adaptation? Let me know what your thoughts are all below down in the comments, and with all that regards, that's all the news stories that we do have for this week. And with all of that now, that ends episode 154 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed my ramblings for about let's say about 20 to 30 minutes in regards. I'll power through this for the last little bit here and talk about what's coming up on the channel. So in the case of review stuff, I have been busy writing some bits the last few days. Hopefully I'll have it finished this week, but I might try and do a couple of like large form ones, do The Last of Us, maybe do one or two films, maybe do another TV series. Like I'm considering either Has Been Hotel or Smiling Friends, or maybe both in there as well with some other films in regards to stuff. I could throw in like, Michael or something like that, and I'll look at some of the other movies in the due time. As well as in case I'll do some snack size box office ones, as well as variations of genres and different things and stuff like that, but I'll get to those in due time in regards to things. Gameplay wise stuff, I will record some more stuff. I'm gonna probably hopefully do a stream as of recording this tonight, do more Tomodachi Life. I need to add more characters, and I'm still waiting for my friend to fall in love with Hugh Morris. We need to get them together because the other four characters I have are all in relationships. We just need those two, and I'm gonna start making some random characters from like Has Been, Digital Circus, Smiling Friends, other people I know, all different things. So if you want to get your me on this, join my Twitch. I think the link is above in my description kind of thing or something like that. But I'll do that. I'll do some stuff like Star Wars Outlaws, Cyberpunk 2077, Mario Wonder, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'll start other games like Ventilate and other bits and pieces like Assassin's Creed, Metal Gear Solid, Atomfall, all these different ones. So they'll come in, so look forward to those. And in case of long form stuff as well, I will get to the rewatch-a-thon, I'll get to the audience video I promised, so and I'll get to the Horror Mo's Bore. I will get to the anticipated media, which I might just quick fire around the beginning part of it and just get to like where it is now by the time I record it, as well as a case of some other bits and pieces with the likes of the Lego build time lapse of Mighty Bowser, which will probably do more on streams and other variation stuff, as well as that concert video I was going to tell you about, which I'll probably adapt at some point. I'll get to those in due time, and bear with me in the case of this stuff, you know, I work around bits and pieces. But with that regards now, I'll leave the episode there for now. So if you like what you see here and want to see more from me and more frequently, then simply like and subscribe. I upload new stuff every single week, and I'm aiming for 750 to 1,000 subs. So if we can get that ball rolling on this channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. So, you know, share around with friends, share with loved ones, share people. Just like, do people want to look at my stupid face? Sure. Fuck it. This is to happen. If you want to get yourself some pure crack, you know, some of this, you can get 10% off with my code Sam Harrison, which is all caps, one word, no spaces, and you can get the link description below. I'll get you something tasty to keep you energized and keep you healthy, kind of thing in that regards. And let me know your thoughts on everything that's discussed this week down below from all the new releases, trailers, and news stories, and give me your thoughts on everything that's discussed. But with that regards now, I'm going to end it there for now. So as always, you all stay wonderful people, have a great day every day, do many great things, and keep being you because no one else can do what you do. I've been your host, Sam, of course. And I shall see you all in the next episode. So take care, and I'll see you later. Have a good night.